It's time to learn with our friend Clive. So grab your brush, have a great time.
Hello and welcome, and thank you very much for joining me in the studio. As you can see, I have not got my Clive 5 art shirt on because Jane has decided to put it in the wash. So I thought, let's have a little fun with the seascape today. It's such a miserable time in Wales over the last week or two. We've had rain and Storm Gareth and all that other stuff. So I thought, well, I'm going to paint the seascape. I haven't got any paint on my palette, as you can see. So I'm gonna put a little bit of this is a little bit of Van Dyke brown. There we go. If you haven't got Van Dyke brown, a bit of burnt umber and a bit of Mars black will be fine. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to draw something out on here. So I'm just picking up a small brush. I'm not organised. I basically just switched the cameras on, and I thought I would just wing it, as they say in Wales. I need a little bit of my medium mix. There we go. Wing it, as they say in Wales, and sometimes it's nice to actually see an artist just starting from scratch, and I just like to do different things, you know. It just makes it variable for me. And we had a wonderful live the other week when I painted that lion. So I went for a walk the other weekend with my wife, and we went down to a beach called Southern Down. We also did Llantwit Major. We went to Marcross, and we went to Ogmore by sea, and that's all around about 10 miles from where I live, and it's a wonderful area. But unfortunately, it is very, very bleak. So I thought I would paint a really dark grey type of seascape today. I got a mind putting an horizon line roughly there. I'll put some video up on the video now of my trip. I have put a few little things up on Facebook. I've also done some IGTV. Now, if you don't know what IGTV is, that's Instagram TV. If you pop along to Instagram, and then on the top part, let me show you my Instagram page. I find it. Okay, I'm talking. So if you pop along to Instagram, there you go. That's my Instagram page there. If you go home, if you go to your home, there's on the top there. On the top, you'll see like a little TV with a squiggly line in it. Press on that, and then you get all these wonderful videos coming up. All you got to do is look for myself or go to my Instagram page, and this is me actually preparing this canvas. So I do things on there that I don't normally do on YouTube. So if you want to see something different, follow along with me on IGTV, and you'll see me doing a few different things, a few blogs, and you know, I don't know, whatever takes my fancy. Sometimes the other day I was in my shop, and I was preparing an order, so I thought, I'll put that up. Why not? So we had quite a stormy type of sea coming in, and I want this to be taken up mainly by a wave. This is going to be the sky area there. I'm going to have some sort of, I don't know, misty type of splash thing going on here with a wave maybe. I don't know. I'll have a look at my few photographs that I took as well. I got an idea to put some lovely rocks. There was some lovely grey type of rocks there that I seen. So we're going to see if we can maybe paint in some rocks, and they were nice and grey. It was a lovely colour. This is like a blue, grey, black, miserable looking type of seascape. So yeah, we have some waves coming in, maybe a splash here, and a bit of water coming in there, maybe, I don't know. We'll have the water coming in and quite a strong arc there. Maybe I'll have another little, all I'm doing is just using a very thin wash of a burnt umber, a Van Dyke brown, or burnt umber, whatever suits your needs really. It's only a sketch. And when I say you don't need to draw in order to paint, you don't need to, do you really? You just need some lines. So that's all it is really. So we've got some sort of a a breaker there, I think. This is going to be coming down maybe like that. So it's zoomed in then. I've picked a scene when I've actually zoomed in, and it's not creating a lot of distance, but I can get a bit of distance there and maybe some decent wave formations, but very blurry, like as if they're out of focus. I got a new iPhone. I got an iPhone 10s Max, and it's got the ability to blur distance because it's using two different cameras. It's called a bokeh effect in photography, which you will get if you use the lens, the zoom lens properly, and focal depth as well. F-stops. I'm not going complicated into photography, but it's called a bokeh effect. But what the iPhone does, it uses two different cameras, one like telephoto camera and one zoom camera, and it merges those two pictures together and gives you the ability to create that depth in a photograph. So what I want to try and do here is do the same type of thing. I want the background to be blurry, but still have a little bit of detail in it. And then this is going to be my mid-ground, which is going to be reasonably sharp. We're going to have some wave patterns in there like that. And these rocks I want to be the main feature of the painting. So, and that's it. That's all I need to work to. Yes. So don't ever be afraid to try something new. And what I'm painting on here today is cardboard. I have gone out specifically and bought some cardboard. You can use cereal packages, you can use cardboard boxes, you can use whatever's to hand. But I bought this board specifically because it comes in really big sheets. That's only half a sheet. So a sheet that I bought is double that size. So I've cut them and I can use them for painting on, but I can also use them for making my own canvas panels, which I will be showing you in another lesson. But it is really good. But the thing is with cardboard is it dries very quickly. You can see it's already dry there, you know. So you've got to have that experience to be able to work with acrylics on board like this. But you can use this painting on canvas or canvas panels, whatever suits your need. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to get the colours mixed up onto my palette. I'm not going to film that because it takes too much time. And I'm back. That was quick. The ability to do things like that when you're pre-recording is fantastic. Right, I've got some colours out on my palette. I've got some ultramarine blue. I've got some Prussian blue. I got some phthalo green. If you haven't got any phthalo green, don't worry. Just use any green you've got. But phthalo green I use because it's very transparent and it's quite powerful and it's wonderful mixed with blues for seascapes. I've got some of my midnight black. I'll explain. I got some titanium white, and I've still got that Van Dyke brown on the canvas. So I'm using a mixture of colours today. I'm using a mixture of manufacturers. The phthalo green, I'm using a Galeria acrylic by Winsor and Newton. Also, I'm using my own particular colours, my ultramarine blue, my Prussian blue, and my white, all handmade. But you can use any colour from any manufacturer if you want to. I use my midnight black. The simple reason I use midnight black is because, I don't know if you can see the colours I've got on the back of that. There we go. I don't know if you can see the colours I've got. It might be slightly out of focus because I've got my camera on set focus. So if it's slightly out of focus, I do apologise. But you can see it's quite a blue black, a lovely grey. You get lovely greys out of this black, and this is a colour that I mixed myself. Let me see if I can get the camera to focus. There we go. You can see there's some lovely greys I can get out of that, and they are blues. A blue black. It's a lovely blue black. I like it for well, I call it midnight black for skies, basically. I got some of my mist in white. This is what I'm going to be doing to put haze on the painting later on, and these are all available. These are all handmade paints, and every batch is individually made. Very little colour variations, because that's one of the questions I get. How do I know that your mixes are going to be the same as store-bought? Well, basically they're the same. They're just mixed up in smaller batches. I'm going to get some titanium white and some zinc white, or mist in white. It's like a zinc white. If you want to buy that from somewhere else, it's a zinc white. Very similar. I'm going to get some black. Oh, look at that. Wow. That's a lovely colour. That's a lovely colour. I'm going to put a little bit of burnt umber to it. I want to dirty it up. Whoa, look at that. And I'm going to get that in the sky. Maybe I'll need a bit, I've made it a bit thin, so let's get it. I want that dirty looking sky colour. There we go. Add a little bit of that mixing white to it as well. It's just going to thin it down. I'm going in a little bit wetter than I would normally do, because I'm trying to compensate for the cardboard, because the cardboard is going to go like that. So what you've got to do is compensate for that a little bit. So I'm just going to continue mixing a couple of different shades. I want a little bit lighter down there, like this. And I'm just going to blend along. I'm going to make a little bit darker. Just a little bit darker up there, because this is quite a stormy sky. I tell you what, I don't know, shall I? I don't know. I'm tempted to get another black. Let me get another black, because I've got a warm black, a Mars black. There we are. I've got a Mars black that I've made. This is the Mars black. So I'm going to put a Mars black on my palette. So I'm going to use two different types of black. I'm going to use a black and a very cool black. There we go. And I mix all these myself, as I said. And I'm just going to mix that over there. You can see the difference already. If I add a bit of white to that now, you can see it's more of a black. I would say it's a little bit warmer. That black, because I want to mix a little bit of that in as well, because we got some dirty old clouds in that sky. We have. And I'm not afraid to mix and marry these colours together to get the effect that I want. So you just got to look. You've got to look for the colours you want. I'm just blend this paint in together like this. We can put a little bit of detail into that sky. I can tell you now, this is already looking nice. I know this is going to be a nice painting. In fact, you can just tell sometimes when you start putting your first paint strokes on. You can start feeling that painting, and this could be a very traditional type of painting that maybe somebody like Turner would do or something, but I'm not even going to go down that road. I'm not even going to say this is going to be similar to that, because I have no way have I got the experience to turn around and knock something out like that, but not for a lesson. But you can get that old type of colour look. This is what we're looking for. We want the sky to be quite a dramatic sky. Now I'm going to knock that back later on. I'm going to get some burnt umber, and I'm going to put a little bit of burnt umber just on this one edge there. you can see my board starting to buckle, which is what's going to happen. You're not going to prevent it really if you're using hardboard or cardboard, but you know, if you store this properly, store it flat when it's dry, then it should be okay. And you can put these in picture frames anyway. Any old picture frames you've got lying around really. I want to put a bit more sky in there, a bit lighter now because it's got a quite a dark area here where I put the burnt umber, so I want to balance that off with the sky. I hope it's not glaring too much, but I got a bit of glare on you. I don't know if you can see that, but I'm just going to put maybe some cloud formations just down there like that. A lighter colour. I'm just going to stand up because I can see what I'm doing better then. I want to put a bit of shadow. And then just tapping it in. I'm trying not to go too detailed. When I say detailed, I mean I've got to be careful I don't. I'm just concentrating once. I'm going to put a bit of Prussian blue to that and a bit of burnt umber. Just playing with colours. I'm going to get some kitchen roll because I want to. Am I making a shadow? I am. Oh dear me. Never mind. Okay, I need to sit down then. Put in some little dips and dots like that. Back into some white, just a small amount of fluid, medium mix onto my palette, onto my brush. Lovely. So I want a dirtier colour now, because I want to go around the back line there, like this. Maybe a little bit darker. Bit of that lovely midnight black and some burnt umber is a lovely colour. You can see I've got some lovely tones on my palette. I'm trying to get this line in. So the horizon line is not going to be dead straight, because it's a stormy sea, but you've still got to get a little bit of straight edge there going, because it's in the distance, so it is going to be a little bit straight. But if it's not perfect, I don't mind. That's a little bit dark, so I want to put a bit more light in there. So I'm just going to add a little bit of light colour just over the top of it, so I can just about barely see it. I hope you can. Yeah, that's nice. It looks really stormy at the moment. It does. Let's get a bit of this black again. I'm going to ultramarine blue. I'm putting some ultramarine blue into that colour now. Getting some white. I'm going to see what I got. So I've lightened my colour up with a bit of white just to see what I got. And I'm thinking of a nice sea colour. I'm adding a little bit of the phthalo green to it just to get that green tinge. And a bit of burnt umber just to dirty it off, because the water around where I am is because I'm on the Bristol Channel. It's quite a dirty colour. It's not like you would see. It's not like you would see abroad really. The Atlantic is down in Tenby and on the west coast of Wales, and that's a little bit bluer. It's a lovely sea actually, that is. So I'm just going to put in some dramatic wave shapes. I'm not thinking of waves, I'm not thinking of foam patterns, I'm not thinking of anything at the moment. All I'm thinking of is colour. Colour, that's all I'm thinking of at the moment. That's going to fade into there. You won't see that because there's going to be a big splash. I'm going to get a bit of light to that now, a bit of white into that dark colour just to lighten that up. So what it is all it is bands of colour, look, bands of colour. Just to give you that effect. And that's drying out quite dark at the back there, so I'm going to try and change that a bit. That's too light, so I want to get a bit of get a bit of Prussian blue. Get a bit of Prussian blue over there. And a bit of burnt umber, as I said. I want to darken it up. Let's see what that looks like. I don't want it too dark. That's too dark. Mix in white, or mist in white. Just put a few little things in like that. There you go. So I'm going to get some burnt umber again. Some of my medium mix. And this time I'm going to add a little bit of my midnight black to that, just to darken it, because I want to get some definite shadow, a bit browner in here. Bit of blue, bit of ultramarine blue. What I'm painting there is the shadow for the bush. So you've got to break things down when you're looking at. I've run out the kitchen roll. When you're looking at a photograph or something, you've got to break it down into its elements. You've got to think to yourself, how am I going to paint this? And that's important. So I'm going to mix some Prussian blue and some phthalo green together. This is going to be quite a dark green blue-green. Thinking again of maybe get that in your mind. Think of waves. If you don't live by an ocean, or as we call it, a sea, then what I suggest you do is watch some videos of a sea and get that into your mind, get that picture into your mind, because it's going to help you a lot to paint a wave. You can't paint a wave if you don't know what a wave looks like. So always do a little bit of research if you can. Even I know what a wave looks like. I've painted a number of them. But even I sometimes watch a video, like this one I did down in Southern Down. I've watched my video a couple of times just to get the idea of what I want out of it and how that wave is going to behave. I just got a very light wash of that blue, that colour. I haven't put any more paint on my brush. I've just wiped the brush off in my kitchen roll and dampened the brush a little bit just to get some shadow. So I just wet the brush just a touch. There's hardly anything on there. I got some paint in my kitchen roll, so I'm just taking the excess off. So I got a dryish type of brush, and all I'm doing is just laying a little bit of shadow into that water area there, like that. And hopefully you can start to see that build up. These are going to be some wonderful rocks and things that we've got there. So I've got some I got some ultramarine blue, bit of phthalo green, a bit of my midnight black, because I want to put some colour there. Now I'm playing with colour now. I'm starting to think, well, I don't want it to look like the sea that's around me. I want colour. I definitely want some colour into this particular painting, and so all I'm doing at the moment is just playing in my mind and trying to see in my mind's eye what this could actually look like. You see, I'm still using the same brush. I haven't used another brush yet. So back up into this burnt umber colour. I haven't washed my brush yet, neither. Some people say you shouldn't do that, but I've never had much of a problem. I'm quite a dirty painter. I'm quite happy with the way I paint. If it doesn't work for you, wash your brush. That's what I suggest. If it doesn't work for you, wash your brush. So I'm going to put in a bit of shadow again, because this is going to be water, foam, so we need to put some shadows in like this. It'll all make sense, trust me. It'll all make sense, but the idea is not to get upset if things start to look ugly. At the moment we're just establishing some shapes and that. So there's another foam pattern there, that's another breaker breaking. This is a swell there of the same type of water, and this is another big breaker that's just hit the rocks there. So we're going to put some rocks in. But that sky is starting to dry off and it's starting to look dramatic already. So what I want to do now is I want to get some more phthalo green. I'm going to go into some ultramarine blue, a little bit of white. I want it quite light. A bit of my midnight black, just to darken it up. Okay, when I say light, I mean about, I know what I need. So that's lighter than that, that's what I mean to say, look. So we just get that in there now. I'll just merge that in. This is a big swell, so we got a bit of mixture, because the paint is being sucked into the cardboard. Don't have to worry about covering every single individual bit of card, because we've got that burnt umber wash underneath, and we can put a wash over this later on. I'm just going to go into a bit of more Prussian blue here, and I can see a little bit of, let me get some Prussian blue and burnt umber mixed. There we are, Prussian blue. Boop, Prussian blue and burnt umber. Nearly the same colour as that shadow, look. So we need to put a little bit more Prussian blue to it, just to separate that. Come back into some of my medium mix. If you haven't got any medium mix, use a bit of flow improver. It'll work the same way. I'm going to mix some ultramarine blue, some Prussian blue together now. I'm going to get some phthalo green over there. That phthalo green it's a wonderful colour, but it's so powerful. So be very, very careful when you're using phthalo green. It's a very, very powerful, powerful colour. But we want all these wonderful changes of colour into this water, and look, if I just add a little bit of white to that, look at that, it's like a turquoise colour. Isn't that lovely? Isn't that a lovely, that's a lovely colour for something like an Australian sea. I don't know what sea's in Australia, but Is it the Pacific? I think it is. I'm not sure. I've never been very good with geography and stuff like that, and so just basically marrying that together like this, blending it in. Can you see what we're developing now? I'm thinking maybe I'll put another splash there. There we are. Maybe I'll put another splash by there. Why not? It's my painting, I can do what I like. And that's what you've got to remember. Don't let anybody tell you any different. This is your painting. You can paint any way you want. Don't try to replicate other people. Don't try and copy exactly what I'm doing. Learn by what I'm doing. Think about what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, use your own artistic skill. And you might go, well, I don't want a crashing wave by there. I'm not going to have a crashing wave here. I'm going to put another rock by there. I'm going to put another rock in, because that's what it's all about. This is what I want you to get from my lessons. It's not do direct copies of these, but just to enjoy the process of the painting. There we go. Now this is what I mean by, wow, it looks a bit messy at the moment. There's not much definition there. We've got to change the angle of that. I can already see that breaker needs changing. But we get the first layer in place, and then we can play around with all foam patterns and watermarks and shadows, and whoa, it's going to be fun. It really is. Progressively lighter towards the front here because I want a lot of foam in here. And I did say on one of the lives that I would paint a horse, and I'm thinking of painting a horse. I really am. I haven't done one for years, so I don't know what that's going to look like. Hopefully it'll work out okay. But then we don't know. Every painting we start, we're not too sure on whether it's going to work or not. But you know, we keep pushing forward. We keep pushing forward. We really do. I'm going to get that miserable looking, dirty, horrible watercolour that we got. This is supposed to be Lantuit Major, isn't it? So I'm going to try and put some this is going to be quite misty, like as if it's raining as well. So I've got to wait for layers to dry. This is not going to dry like I would normally let it dry with a hairdryer, I don't think, because it might buckle the cardboard. So unfortunately I won't be able to do these paintings on cardboard in lives, I don't think, because last thing I want is the cardboard to start bowing in and stuff. I suppose you could pin it, but I don't like doing that. And you might hear a little bit of background noise on the sound. That's normally rain. That's normally rain that my headset is picking up, and because I do compress the sound a little bit, it can make that tickle tackle, pitter patter raindrops into a bit of a psh rather than a tipper tapper, if that makes any sense. So I got some grey, and we're going to put some rocks in here and there. I'm not going to do too much of this because I want to specifically look for some pictures of some rocks that I took, and I want to make sure that I get these colours in quite accurate. But for the moment, I'm just going to go along the edge. It's not going to hurt. I can always paint over it just to define that edge, and I'm going to have to work and block this out separately, I think, because these are quite big chunky old rocks, and there's quite a lot of red raw sienna type of colour to them as well. They weren't just grey, especially in Southern Down and Lantwick Major, I should say. So there we are. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to let that dry, I think, and see how we can start to bring that paint into life, because it looks a little bit of a mucky colour at the moment, but trust me, it will work. It will. I've had to play around with the lights a little bit in here, so I hope everything's okay. We'll soon find out during the editing process, but there we go. I thought I would put a little bit of a... I want to put that rain, misty, grey murkiness at the back there, so I'm going to get some... Is that zinc mixing white, my mixing white, or mist in white, I call it. I use a mist in white. I'm going to get a little bit of that, my black, there we are, my midnight black in there. Very, very thinly, because I'm using some acrylic medium mix there. I'm using some acrylic medium mix. There you go. And I'm just going to very lightly, and that's not what I want. I want it a bit grayer than that. So let's put some more grey. Let's get that really horrible looking little bit of burnt umber. Horrible, horrible looking sky in there. Put a bit more mixing white. You've got to be careful when you're doing this. You don't want it to look as if it's raining, but you've got to be careful. I got too much glare on that. I had too much glare on that. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to change my lights. 1 second. What I find is making YouTube videos, especially with the way I am, is that your lighting and your camera setup, you get it perfect, and you're editing your videos and everything is right, and for some reason or other I decide to move a camera or move my lights, and I think it's inherent in my problem is that if it's working, I tend to think, oh, can I tweak this a little bit? Can I make this a little bit better? So I'm just going to put a bit of that burnt umber just around the sky area here like this. And I tend to think, yeah, if I tweak it a bit, it's going to get better. But inevitably, it never gets better. It just gets worse. And then I get frustrated then, and I can try and put things back together. So I don't get frustrated so much in my artwork. I get more frustrated in making sure the lights and everything are right. And I should stop worrying, really. I should stop worrying, really. There you are. I've always been the same. I've always tried to stop. I'm trying to stop the glare off the paint, but I'm finding it very difficult at the moment to do that. So, okay, so I was playing around with some of this wash, and I got a little bit of this mist in white, and I basically want to just come down with a couple of streaks like this, just in the distance, make it look as if there's some rain washing down like that. We'll build that up as we progress with this painting, but that's basically what I'm looking for. Is I want that effect, like as if there's some cloud there, but you can also see a little bit of that wave, not wave, the rain catching some light. But we will be building on that. So do I keep to the same brush or not? I think I'm gonna what I'm thinking I'm gonna do. I'm gonna use a long handle. This is a number 16 detail brush, round brush. And I'm going to work a little bit. I'm going to get some Prussian blue. A little bit of that black, a little bit of phthalo green, a little bit of white, with a bit of my black in there. Just test the colour. I want a bit. I'm just going to roll the brush. I'm going to roll the brush like this. I'm getting some Prussian blue. I'm just going to roll the brush together and just try and get all this to merge like that. Get some of that lighter colour down like that, because this is sweeping. Sweeping down like that. So just using the edge of the brush. Trying to utilize what I got on the canvas. The underpainting is my key point. I want some of that to come through. Don't forget, this is going to be quite a gloomy looking painting. And I get some that phthalo green. I want this sweeping motion. Get into that lighter colour again. I want this sweeping motion to come into play. What I'm trying to do is roll my brush on an arc. I'm not actually painting, I'm just letting the paint come off the brush. Get a little bit more white up there. I'm just mixing all these colours together at the moment. I was just dragging. Now that's a lovely effect. Look, this cardboard is creating like a scagging pattern, and it's making it look as if it's foam patterns on there for me. So that's good. The cardboard is actually working for me. I hope you can see that. I'm going to zoom one camera in to this area, and I hope you can see that. I'm going to go into my ultramarine blue and a little bit of white. I want a little bit of put a little bit of light over here, like that. Bit of Prussian blue. You can see the way I'm mixing all these paints on the palette. Just letting them mix together. The wind is picking up quite heavily out there tonight. Bit of burnt umber, just to darken that off a little bit. Just dirty it up. I think you can hear can you hear? That's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. That's exactly what I wanted. So I can just get pockets of colour into there like that. So I'm going to mix a bit of green bit of phthalo green, ultramarine blue, some white, some burnt umber, bit ultramarine blue, bit more phthalo green, Prussian blue. I'm going to find the colour I'm looking for. I'm going to find the colour I'm looking for. Got a little bit of turquoisey type of colour. I got a bit of this. That's going to be lighter up there, so we'll put a bit of that in now in a minute. And I'll run the brush, putting it on quite thick there. Get a little bit of that darker colour, merging that in just under that wavelet there. Put some shadow underneath that. Let's just put some shadow underneath that, like that. I'm not going to rush this painting. I think this painting is going to be quite nice. I'm not going to rush it. You can see that's already looking like a very murky, distant, rainy seascape. I hope it is. I hope it is. I need to use the same colour, but I want to lighten that colour because I want a little bit of light coming in off the top of this. Wave. Again, I'm just going to let the paint come off the brush because it's coming over like that, so it's going to have a lot of air into it. There we go. I'm just going to concentrate a little bit, and I need to think about maybe there's some foam that's going to be coming down like that. So let's get a little bit of shadow and stuff into this. This is the foam I'm painting now. This is the foam I'm painting. I'm painting the shadows of the foam now. Painting the shadows of the foam. Think of the brush. Think of your brush as an extension of your arm. Think of the brush as an extension of your brain. Let the brush feel. Don't think about your brush strokes. Don't think, but I'm going to do little circle marks like this now. The more you think about it, the more constraint you get and the more false it looks. You want it to look free. So what I'm doing is, as I'm doing this, I'm thinking about my brush strokes, but I'm also relaxing, and I'm just allowing the brush to flick and pull the paint off as it wants to. I'm not painting with my mind. I'm painting with I'm painting with my mind, but I'm painting with a relaxed state of mind. Then I'm not physically thinking about, okay, we got to put some foam there now, and I'm going to build that little bit up there, and I'm not doing this. I'm just letting the brush do what it wants to do. You can see there's a breaker there. There's going to be another little breaker maybe coming over there like that. I'm just going to follow that edge. There's a little edge there. And it could be just another little bit of foam there like that. Don't want to go into too much detail too quick, but I'm going to get my shadows in. This is all going to be do all those noises in your mind. Think about these little, just let the brush roll and like this. There's no set pattern to any of this. This is all swell and wash. It's all swell and wash there. And just let the brush pull off the paint it needs and just brush it in. The more you are relaxed and smooth with this, and just let the brush pull the paint off, or the canvas or board or whatever you're painting on, just pull the paint off like that, and then we can get a little bit of colour here and there like this, just to bring in some shadow areas. Get some burnt umber into that water. I'm going to put a glaze of, I'm going to wash a colour over this in a minute when this is dry, and then I'm going to put some more detail on it. But before I do that, I just want to darken this area off. Bit of my black. Nice big swell there. I quite like that. Quite like that swell. I'm just going to get a block out brush, because I'm just going to get a little bit of this. I use some brush and blue, some phthalo green, a little bit of black, some white. I want to blue that up a bit more. A nice dark bit of burnt umber. This is going to be this area is going to be a big bush, massive surf, like a big wave has just hit that. So what I'm doing is I'm putting the shadow in. Putting the shadow in. It's looking very dramatic. It's looking like a really dirty sea. Like it was really. It wasn't as bad as this. It wasn't as gloomy as this, but it was in my mind. I've done so many bright coloured paintings lately, and I thought, well, I just want to do something slightly different. I'm going to change my palette shortly and just put some fresh paint on, because I do that sometimes. What I'll do, I'll scrape the paint that's on there off and put it back onto another piece of greaseproof paper. This was what I use as a wet palette. What I'm doing is just putting some different shades of colour, because this is all going to be rocks. That's going to be the challenge for me, is not so much painting the sea itself, because that'll come on its own, that'll build itself. And my challenge is to get these rocks in. That's my challenge. But at the moment I'm just putting some colour in, just so I can build rocks and that over it. I'm just putting some shadows in and things. I don't know. These might form parts of the rocks, these shadows, but I don't know. But I thought if it's better to try and build in some colour on a layer, like we did with the sea there. And you can see that starting to look quite nice now. And the more layers I'm putting on this, the glossier it's getting, because of the acrylic. The nature of the acrylic itself is enough to put a sheen of plastic over this cardboard that we're using. What you could do, you could get some sheets of old plywood or hardboard or masonette or something like that, if you've got any lying around, and you could stick some cardboard to that if you wanted to. I don't know. Or you could paint directly onto the wood. Whatever you want. Think outside the box. That's the best way. Is always think outside the box. Looks strange, doesn't it, when you do things like this? This is why I said you think, oh wow, you know, it's a mess, but you've got to keep at it, because we can turn this area into a lovely group of rocks. I hope. We don't know. This is the joy of it. This is the joy of what I do, and the joy of what you will do, is, and you are doing, in fact, is seeing something be created in front of your eyes, which is good. There we are. Starting to come together. We got some foreground there. We got some midground, which I've got to work on, and we've got the distance done. I'm happy with that. I'm going to put some more washes of rain in later on, once I've done the sea section and we've built up some foam patterns and things. But I don't know if that's might be just about ready, I think, for a wash. So I'm going to get a wash of some ultramarine brew, I think. Let's have a look what that looks like. I like that. Just warm that area up a touch. Painting on top of a lighter colour with a very thin coat of of acrylic, but you've got to have some sort of medium mix for this, otherwise it's just going to peel off. Don't use retarder or flow improver. It won't bind enough. There we are. We've got a lovely looking Seascape now. I'm gonna get some Prussian blue. I want to darken the area there a little bit. I'm not going to do any more to this now because it's just going to ruin it. I'm going to build in some more foam patterns. I'm just going to darken just a little bit underneath there, like that. I'm going to leave that rest, I think, and I'll come back to that when it's nice and dry. Don't forget, take regular breaks and let your painting air and dry. I don't normally paint for more than 40 minutes to an hour at a time. I actually stop and wait and see what happens. Because this is going to change as it darkens now. It's going to darken again, and we can still build the layers on that. So. Why do you wear a hat, Clive? A simple reason is to keep my brains in. Because my head can swell sometimes. No, I'm only joking. I just love wearing a hat when I'm painting. Actually, that's all it is. I've always been a person to wear hats. Even when I'm working, I wear hats. So I got a couple of different brushes. So I'm going to be looking at some foam shapes now. This is all lovely and dry, and if you've got the ability to just rest your eyes and come back on another session. I was asked a question the other day about, when it's dry, can you still mist it? Well, you can. You can still put a mist of water on that if you wanted to, just to allow you to blend, but I'm not going to do that myself. Well, I just did, but you know what I mean. I don't want to do that because I just want the paint to pull off the brush. No, I had a fantastic session, and when I did this first bit of painting, so I'm hoping this session is going to come into its own as well. And I don't want you to think that you have to do something in one sitting, and this is the thing. A lot of people say, oh, you see people painting on YouTube and stuff like that, and it's all speeded up and things, and you don't know how long that's actually taken them. That could have taken them days, and you think to yourself, you come to the easel and you think to yourself, oh, I wish I could paint like that, and you try and you can't, and it's very upsetting because I know I've done it myself over the years, and you think to yourself, oh, how can't I paint that good that quick? Well, not everybody can paint good that quick. Trust me. It's I've been watching the Sky Arts Portrait Artist of the Year, and they go 4 hours to do a painting of a famous person, and not everybody. You see the entry paintings that they put in. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre, I think, to my palette. Yeah, I am. I'm going to add a little bit of yellow ochre. I'm just going to put a splotch over there. There we are. I just want to put a little bit of colour into this water. Why? Because I just feel as if I should. And if it turns a little bit green, it doesn't matter. I just want to put a bit of warmth in here like this. Maybe, I don't know. I just want to put a bit of warmth in. We'll kill that back a bit now. We'll kill that back with some blue over it after. But I just want to get this. I want to put a bit of warmth on such a cold painting. So maybe it's swirling all the sand up. Maybe this is coming into a beach. This is coming into a beach. What it is now. And you see the entries that these artists have got, and they've spent, and you'll hear them say that, oh, this took me like 7 weeks to do, this took me 10 hours to do, this took me however long it took to do. And they're judged upon that initial, let's put some of that in there. You can see these shapes. Can you see the shapes on there? They've already started to develop their own rock shape. They're not the rocks I want to paint, but they've already started to look like rocks, so I think I'll just go with it. And they judged on they judged on what the judges have seen by the entries. So when they come to judge the portrait, or even landscape, depending which program you're watching, when they come to judge the competition paintings, then they know they've only had 4 hours, but they take into consideration of the entry work. So they know if they've sat there for 10 hours to do a painting, they know what their skill level is and what they're able to do. So what I'm trying to say is, don't think that you have to do something in an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours. Take however long it takes. Take however long it takes to get that painting the way you want it. That's what I suggest. So if it means you've got to sit down a couple of evenings or a couple of afternoons or whatever it is to get that painting completed, then you do that. This is a really murky sea that we're painting today. So I want a bit of green. I want a bit more green in this water there. Sounded a bit like as if I was from Liverpool, huh? A bit of green in. Mix up a couple of colours. Let's put a little bit of green. Lifting up. There, that's because it's quite dark over there, so I want to keep this really dark. He says, let me just change my brush. I'm holding my brushes in my hands like that. As you'll see a lot of artists doing that. And I have seen somebody actually sticking a brush in their ear like that. But not a long-handled one. But don't do that. It is dangerous. You don't know. You don't want to. My father used to say to me, never stick anything in your ear bigger than your elbow. This is why I don't like these cotton buds and things when people clean their ears out. Ooh, you don't know how far you're poking that thing into your ear. Don't do it. Don't. Getting a little bit of shadow coming in now. You can spend hours on this. Literally hours on this. And this is a type of painting that I would do. And I'm happy with that now. And I'd put it down. If I haven't sold it or it hasn't gone to a friend or it's hanging on the wall, and I'll go, oh, I'll just do a little bit more to this. And this is the fun thing with the seascapes. You can just keep adding to them. Let's put a bit of shadow under that. Whoosh, like that. A bit of shadow under there. Just build up a multitude of colours. And as I said to you previously, don't let the brush do the work. Let the paint come off. Let the paint come off the brush. I don't know if you could hear that. I can hear a seagull outside. It's a really windy day today. It's really choppy out there. It's choppy on here too. Did you hear him? I'm going more into a darker colour. I'm going to Prussian blue and my phthalo green. I'm just checking my time and my clock in the corner there, because it's an afternoon. It's the actual time is 25 past 12, and I've got to pick my wife from work, so I'm trying to paint in between my daily routines. And she said, I'm going to work now, Clive, because it's raining today again. And it is. We've had a nasty storm in the UK. It lasted a few days. And she said, I'm going to work now, Clive, she said. And can you clean up and do some polishing and ironing and stuff? And I said, yeah, I don't mind doing that. I generally don't mind doing, housework and stuff, but I sneaked out. I've sneaked out. Don't tell Jane if you're on a live, please don't tell Jane. Clive was sneaked out. We've seen him, Jane. We've seen him. Had a question the other day saying that I've been struggling with this painting now. It's taken me 6 hours to do this painting, and I still can't get anything right. And what am I doing wrong? And my answer to you is my paint don't seem to be working. My brushes don't seem to be working. Before I go on to that story, I want to say that I'm just thinking about you now, and that there are a lot easier and quicker ways to do a seascape than this. If you watch Bob Ross and stuff like that, you'll see it's a lot easier. But what I am saying to you is, why rush? We are here to paint. A lot of us just paint to relax and chill out, and so why rush? Why rush? Nobody says you have to do a painting in 30 minutes or an hour. Just if it takes you a couple of days or even a couple of weeks. I got paintings there, I've got paintings there that have taken me. I've still got some. I got one there now. I think it's about 5-year-old, and I pick it up occasionally, and I do a little bit, and then I put it down, and I forget about it, and then I pick it up again and do a little bit more. And it's one of those paintings of love. It's a bit like Leonardo da Vinci took the Mona Lisa around with him for 12 years, and he really did. That's the story. He took the Mona Lisa. He was carrying that around with him for 12 years and doing a bit there and doing a bit there and trying to perfect it. It was a painting of love. So going back to the story, because I do tend to waffle. Going back to the story was when you're using multiple brushes, make sure you don't allow them to dry hard. Going back to the story. I said, it's not the brushes, it's not the paint that make the artist. It's the artists that make the brush. The artist is the brush. The brush is a tool. The paint is a tool. It's the artist behind the tools that make the tools work. So don't try to force the painting. Allow the painting to. Sometimes when you're painting something like this, it's easier just to allow the paint just to come off the brush and allow it to do what you want it to do. Just let it, not you want it to do, but what the brush wants to do. Just allow it to happen. I've seen that so many times. I've watched a lot of different artists over the years and painting, and I'm thinking, wow, I wish I could get that to look like that. Just allowing I love seascapes because there is no set pattern really to how there's set patterns to waves. Don't take that the wrong way. If you're painting a run of waves, there's a way the waves run and form, but there's no set pattern to foam. Foam is just bubbles of air in the water. So just scrapping the brush on like this sometimes makes for lovely patterns. I'm trying to bring a little bit of light down into this bottom corner with a fair few foam patterns. There you go. I'm just going to put those two. I'm going to wash those brushes now because I'm afraid they're gonna dry on me. So I'm just going to give them a quick swirl and leave them there for a minute. Just leaving them on my brush station. I'll come back to them in a second because I want to go into this little detail brush now. This is a number 6, and I'm using the same technique. I'm using the brush like that between my two fingers, and I'm going to roll the brush around like this. Using a little bit of moisture on the brush. So I want to just get that. There seems to be a lot of churning water there. So think you've got to think sometimes. You don't just put it on wiggly piggly. I know I'm trying to contradict myself, but I've got to think a little bit on where you think these are going to form. So a little bit of thought, Get a bit of a splash by there, because it's rolling up behind that wave, and it's causing it to flick like this, because waves create they rise like this and then they fall over on themselves, but as they fall over on themselves they push underneath as well. I'll have to do a lesson on that, I think. And this is a windy day, so it's gonna be blowing up. It's going to be blowing up some spray as well off this. Wave. Let's get this. Just see why I put that colour underneath now. Let's just get a little bit of, I need to make sure I don't get too much paint on my brush for this. Just churning. It's rolling over. It's rolling over there like that. A little bit of spray. Just on the top of that like that. Let's just get a big lump of whoosh. That's really just splashing then like this. You can ruin so many brushes doing this. Well, I do anyway. What we could do is get a... No, I don't want to do that because I'll spoil it. I'm just going to continue using this brush. I don't want to spoil the effect. If I damage a brush, then I damage a brush. I got loads of brushes. It doesn't really matter. There we are. It's looking. Whoosh. Not wet enough, see? So we need to put a bit of wet, a bit of moisture, a bit of wet. We need to put a bit of moisture on there. Get a few little bits up there. Right, I think this time now for I'm going to get a script lining brush, which is a long pointy brush. Just put a few little veins and stuff in like that. You can go to town on this. As I said, I love painting seascapes. And I love painting seascapes like this as well. It's just... I'm going to get a brush, just going to clean my brush. I could see a little swell there. Just building. There we are. A swell within a swell then. It's like really is coming in there fast. I want to think about some rocks now. So I want to think about some rocks now. I need to have a look at. I need to get a reference photo of the day. So just I will be back. So I've actually got a picture up on my iPad here. There you go. I'll just show you. It's easier. There's the picture that I'm going to be working from. That's all the rocks and things that we took. Pictures I took when I was actually on the beach there. You can see. I don't know if you can see in the background how stormy that sea is. I'll put this picture up on the page. I think it's easier when I'm editing. I'll put this picture up. But what I'm doing is I'm just going off. I got a little bit of white on my brush now, and I'm basically just sketching in some of the rocks that I think will fit in, because I like these grey rocks. The grey against that is going to set it off, and then we can work a little bit more on that water then as well. But I like the way these rocks are just nuzzled in with each other here. It just makes for a really good, interesting painting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue to put in some rocks and things like this. And there's no point me videoing that. So I'm just going to continue doing that. And because there's all different types of rocks here. I don't want too many pebbles as well, but I might put a little bit. I don't know. I'm going to wing it. I'm going to wing it. So I'm going to do that now, and then I'll resume filming, I think. So I'm just going to continue doing the little rocks like this. There's all different types of. They're not just round rocks. There's all different shapes, and they're all sitting, all smashed up against the bank there. Really is a pretty place to go. Okay, so what I've decided to do is I started doing a little bit of the rocks there just to get a feel for them, and I thought using the iPad, and these are some of the rocks that I took, pictures of the rocks I took when I was actually at the beach. So I thought I'm using my iPad basically to get an idea of the colour of the rocks and everything, because you can see they're quite grey and everything. So this part of the video, I think I'm going to just speed up a touch, and because this is going to be a long process putting these rocks in. Okay, so sorry I had to speed that up a bit, but be honest with you, these group of rocks here have taken me the best part of 2 hours, if not a little bit more, in fact, and they haven't been easy to do. But I went out actually as well, and I went down to the beach and I picked up a rock just so I could match the colour to it, and you can see there's a little bit of spar stone and everything on that. But these are lovely rocks. But when they went wet, let me just show you. When they get wet, they go like a dark grey. So what I decided to do is a little bit of like burnt umber brown grey they are. That's why I decided to do that. So what I'm going to do now very quickly is I'm going to get a small short flat. There we are. I'm going to get a small short flat. And I'm just going to put a little bit of shadowing in. I'm just going to move my medium mix over. You can see I've been using that a lot. It's quite discoloured, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to get a little bit of this black, very, very thin, a touch of burnt umber to it. I'm making a very thin wash. And with a medium mix, you can do that because it won't underbind the paint. And I'm just gonna, I want a bit darker than that. I don't want to go too opaque. I've got to be careful because I want to put some shadow in these rocks, which is just a very thin glaze of colour. And you should see that actually take an effect there. So I'm just darkening down just a little glaze of shadow on some of these rocks, and that just helps to pull some of these rocks together, and with a bit of a burnt umber glaze gives it that colour that I'm looking for, and just settles it all down a little bit there. There we are, just settles it down a bit. I want a bit over there as well. So it's just a very thin, very, very thin coat of colour just to go over the top of those, that grey. And it just gives it that wet, burnt umber look. That's the way I found, the best way I found of doing this, because I want that wet look, obviously, because the water is coming over these rocks. There, I'm going to put a bit of splay in there in a second. I'm just going to darken this area a little bit more. The other thing I've done is I've marked out a rock because I'm looking at my iPad, and there's a rock in the sea. Let me just show you. I don't know if you can see. There's a rock in the sea there. We'll go on this one. There's a rock in the sea. There you go. Can you see that rock in the sea? iPads are wonderful things because it allows you to zoom in and you take photographs, and if you're using the photographs, then I've lost my photograph. If you're using the photographs as reference, it's a great thing to have in your arsenal as an iPad or any tablet really. So we need to put this rock, and it's quite a chunk. It's quite a chunk of rock, that is. It looks quite square. So my iPad decided to freeze up on me. Doesn't matter. And doing this rock in exactly the same way as I painted the other ones. I'm trying to use the same type of colours. I'm just feeling this this shape. There we are. Just allow that just to dry a minute, and we can put some swell stuff around by there in a minute. Okay, so what next stage? The next stage is I think we're gonna get some sort of a splash going on. So let's get some titanium white and a little bit of this grey, a little bit of ultramarine blue, just into that, a bit more, a little bit of black. I want this grey type of shadow. Trying to be loose, trying to set up my iPad as I'm videoing. I can multitask. I need Jane in the studio because she can multitask. I'm not very good at multitasking. So we're getting some splashes come in. And some don't want too much water on here. Where's my pictures gone? I need my pictures. Where's that rock? Where did I see that rock picture? Found it. Right, so we need to get some splashes. We don't want too much there because it's settling down a bit there, but we can still get a few splashes coming along. On the rocks, a bit of water gathering. There you go. Should see a bit of splash going on there. Let's get some more. One almighty big crasher here. Get a little bit more. I want to get a bit darker. I want to get a bit darker in there. So just add a little bit of black to that. I just want to darken that up a bit. To get this right, I'm going to have to allow each layer to dry, because all I'm going to be doing otherwise is moving that paint about, and I don't want to move the paint about. I want the paint to layer. So if I'm painting wet on wet, basically, it's just going to merge together, and I don't want that. I want this paint to layer. So I'm going to have to build up a little bit, layer by layer. Just to get that shadowy. It's like painting a cloud then, really. It's like painting a cloud then, really. basically a cloud is water vapor, and this is just droplets of water, so I suppose it's similar if you want. And that's going to be quite dark down there. Bit of sand there, we've got some water coming in there. Let's get some more blue, ultramarine blue. Scrubbing with his brushes like that, you can ruin a few brushes, so just keep some brushes for scrubbing. Just have a bit of moisture there, and we'll have some water. We'll have some water lying under this rock here. There's going to be, because there's a lot of water splashing around. Oops. That's looking good. Now the rock is dried out a bit, so I'm just going to change my brush. I'm going to go into another Filbert. This is a number 6 Filbert brush. I'm just going to go back into my reference photographs. I'm zooming in. I'm having a look at this rock. So it's quite light on the back end there. So just playing around with colour. You can see my palette's just a mess of colour. So I'm going to put in a few little detail-y marks now, just to make this look a little bit more rock-like. Getting a bit of shape. I'm going to darken it up as I go down here. What I want to do is get a little bit more black. I'm just going to darken off the side of that rock. Get some of this water, like as if it's just running off the rock. There may be just add a wave, just hit that a minute ago. Changing the brush into a I'm going into a number 6 round brush now. This is all of these brushes are available on my website, by the way. So I'm just going to put in a little bit of foam. And again, getting some foam around the base of this rock that's in the water. I wanted to do a little bit more of a detailed type of painting today, because this has taken quite a while to do, and I really enjoy these type of paintings. And as I said before, I can sit here and paint for hours and hours and hours just doing this type of thing. I want a little bit more. I want a bit more of a swell there. I wonder how long this video is actually going to take. It's a lovely swell in this water. Ruining this brush. This brush is falling apart on me. Yes, I like that so far. I'm going to put a bit more. Splash into this wave. See that wind blowing? The wind is whipping that sea up. It's whipping that sea up, it is. I was a bit overzealous there. There you go. Just using a rolling the brush technique. Just to get the effect that I want. There is easier ways of doing seascapes. Definitely easier ways of doing seascapes, but when you enjoy painting, that's when you can just carry on for hours and hours. And there's no point rushing. Never rush. If you like the way things are going, you should never rush. When I started this painting, I wasn't expecting it to turn out as detailed as this. There we go. Okay, so I've let that dry just a little bit, and I thought, well, this is where I'll get it finished now. I'm quite happy with the rock there. I'm quite happy with it in total. So I want to just concentrate on this splash area now, and then I'm going to put a little bit more colour on over it with a wash, and I'm going to put some rain in. That's the plan. Okay, let's get my water. Move over there. Let's get some splash. This is not perfectly white, but we don't want it perfectly white anyway. I'll just get some splash in. Going a bit of perfect white now, just to, I don't want it too wet. Quite a dry brush. I don't want to destroy that dark that we put in there. Just having a look at that, seeing how it looks. Just getting some lining water. Laying water there like that. On that bit of sand that we put in. It's looking quite nice. It's looking quite nice. I like it. I like it so far. I like it so far. Well, I want to get a another bit of a splash going on there like that. There you go. And that's going to come. Bit of water there. It's a definite line there because it's just hitting the top of those rocks. Lovely. I've really enjoyed painting this lesson, and I think it's good to do something sometimes that you're not that comfortable with, but don't ever put yourself down. Don't think that you can't paint something just because it seems a little bit complicated. There you go. That's like a blush. I said a big blue. Shut up. Yeah, I like that. I'm just going to put a little bit more highlight on some of this cloud. Or not, it's not a cloud, Clive. It's a spray. What would you call this? A crashing wave. That's what I would call it. Is there anything else we can do? We can put a little bit more. Put a bit more surf and stuff down here like this. Because the previous one has hit that rock and it's left a little bit of foam in the water. There we are. Nice. I think I put a bit of. I'm just gonna one of these little patterns there like that. What do we think? I think that's okay. It looks pretty good. I'm quite happy with that. I really am. I'm quite happy with that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to dry that off with a hairdryer. Now we'll play a dangerous game because I want to put a wash over this now, and so I'm going to get some of my medium mix over there, and I'm going to get some burnt umber like this. The rain is really coming down now. I'm going to put some burnt umber wash over the painting now, because I want to make it look dirty and mucky, because this water that's around where I live it's not blue as such. So what I'm doing is just lifting off a little bit of paint with some tissue. Now we got to get some rain, haven't we? So what we need now is some of my misting white. It doesn't matter if it's a bit of burnt umber to it. I'm just going to test that on the side of my canvas, and I'm just going to drag down some marks like this, just in little lines. Just like that, to make it look like, and some are thicker than others, just to make it look like it's raining. I'm going to dry my brush off with a bit of tissue paper like this, and I'm going to lightly, you've got to be quick doing this, especially on this type of cardboard. I can be very lightly brush in. This dried a little bit quicker than I wanted, so I've just wet my brush just to reactivate that paint just a little bit, because it's not perfectly dry. There we go. I'm going to put a few more in. Top corner, I'm just going to add a little bit more light, a bit of misty and white just in the top and corner, and you should be able to see that. Hopefully it looks like it's raining. I hope you can see that, because it looks quite nice from where I'm sitting. So thank you very much for joining me today in the studio. I hope this lesson has helped you painting some rocks and some sea and some swell and a little bit of murkiness in the background, an idea of possibly how to do some rain as well. But this is a southern down in Wales, not far from where I live, so have a go at it. Pick a couple of photographs from what you've taken and see if you can make a painting up like that, and just try and have fun. You can't make a mistake with acrylics. As soon as they dry, you can always paint over them. So thank you very much for joining me in the studio today. Please press the subscription button down below, and over there is either a link to my website or to Patreon, and if you want to pop along and support me on either one of them, that would be great. So until the next time, thank you very much, and I look forward to seeing you in the studio at 7:30 again on a Monday.